Committee and Tourism Committee meeting on February 10th. It is about 3:35. I'm going to ask Senator Cardin Summers if he'd open us up in prayer. What mic is that, 8?
8.
Okay, if everybody bow their heads.
Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity allowed to come and do the work of the people today. We thank you for the blessings you send our way, and we ask you to continually watch over us, lead, guide, and direct us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay. All right, we're going to get started because I know some people have to run to go to a 4 o'clock meeting. Senator Anvatari, would you please come on up and present Senate Bill 112?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number 2.
Okay.
Witness 2. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and this illustrious committee. Always glad to be here. Senate Bill 112 is known as the Workforce Acceleration Act. Just going to give some background and then just kind of cut to the chase. Governor Kemp and the Georgia Department of Economic Development have created over 37,000 jobs across Georgia in 4 major economic development projects over the last year. 85% of those jobs are outside of Atlanta. With a thriving Georgia economy and historic low unemployment, where are the workers going to come from to fill these critical projects? Over 1.1 million Georgians over the age of 18 do not have a high school diploma. SB 112 creates a 5-year pilot project for 3 adult high schools for the persons over 21 who have not obtained a high school diploma. This is a public-private partnership with the workforce development programs of Goodwill Industries in Savannah, Macon, Georgia, and Columbus, Georgia, based on a highly successful model called Excel Centers located in 7 states and D.C. 10 years of data shows that the program works and empowers people to gain the skills necessary to obtain their diploma, move into the technical college system for industry certification, and enter the workforce. Goodwill offers Excel Centers in a dedicated community building with a on-site wraparound services like daycare, transportation assistance, life coaches, and career counseling, which Goodyear has and will pay for. Classes are offered year-round in the daytime and the evening. The Excel Centers remove the barriers and provide the support necessaries for these students and these adults to get their high school diploma. SB 112 has bipartisan support with over 20 co-sponsors. This concept passed the Senate twice last year, again twice, once as Senate Bill 231 and once as a substitute to a House bill towards the end of session. However, it was held in committee and not permitted to come up for a vote in the House of Representatives. Last year, this bill was proposed as a state charter school. However, we have come back and revised the bill this year so that the program will be facilitated by the local units of the Technical College System of Georgia. Good will provide the education and support services in their buildings, and TSG will grant a high school diploma to the graduates. SB 112 is a very important piece of workforce development legislation which will enable more Georgians to take advantage of the great jobs recently created across the state and empower them to obtain their high school diploma, skill up through the technical colleges, and get better jobs to support their families. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I will entertain any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have questions of the sponsor? Anybody? My only comment is this is there's not an industry I don't talk to that doesn't need help. I mean, everybody does. So thank you for bringing this before us. The only question I would have is, since it is a pilot program, I would think that we're going to track it so that we know if it's successful.
Correct.
Because I think that's important to say, if we're ever going to do anything permanently, to be able to say, hey, these folks that came in the program then got employed and, we're self-sufficient, we're in the job market.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I would
my
hope-
only comment to that is, and I know during my remarks last year when I presented the bill in the committee and in the Senate is, again, I think, quite frankly, it's foolish to turn away any help to identify Georgians who want to go to work and fill these jobs.
Yeah.
As a former foundation board chairman of the largest technical college in the state, I will tell you that I love TCSG. I will do whatever they ask me to do, almost. But at the same time, they need help. Our workforce development agencies, whether you're in inner city Atlanta or rural Georgia, need help. And if we have plants like Hyundai coming to Georgia and looking to recruit something like 20,000 Georgians to hopefully go and work for them, I think we need all hands on deck to get this done. So again, I hope that this bill gets favorable consideration all the way through the Senate. And I hope our colleagues on the other side of the building take this bill seriously, because we have a lot of Georgians who want to go to work, especially between the ages of 21 and 35. And I think this is a game changer for recruiting employees to go to work.
Chairman
Thank you, Mr.
Dugan.
Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I feel like a bad episode
Mr.
of
Chairman.
Airplane here. To answer his question, I thought you told me that assessment thing started on line 79 of your bill.
I don't have a copy of the. That's not the bill. Thank you.
Line 79.
Thank you. I'll take more copies. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay. I thought
And
that's what you,
this is very similar language, if not the exact same language we talked about last session.
thank you. I thought that's what I remembered you telling me.
Because all the outcomes can be are data-driven, can be measured, and will be reported out.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, what's your number?
9.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing the bill. I'm supportive of it in years past. Can you tell us this distinction between this training and vocational training?
So basically, the distinguishment is that in most cases, in terms of vocational training, if somebody's going back to high school, usually we're getting them their GED, which, in the job market, doesn't, get the same buying power as actually having your high school diploma. I think the other piece of this is that for those that are 21 and 35, a lot of times these could be single moms of poverty. These are folks that don't have transportation, they don't have childcare. And the distinguishment, again, between what this bill is setting up in these 3 pilot sites and what TCSG does is the wrap services distinguishment. And so I think this is an enhancement in terms of vocational training in the state. There is an opportunity where, I think, some could argue that there's maybe overlap in programs. But I think where these locations are in neighborhoods where families are living in poverty, they have access to these classrooms and these instructors to remove the barriers of them getting there and then getting that high school diploma, I think is much different than where maybe some of our technical college campuses are located, which could be scattered out, or you got to get a bus, or you got to have transportation or an Uber to get there. So I think the strategy in terms of where they're being placed, and based on also the data we've seen in other states like Indiana, where this has just been spreading like wildfire, is a game changer. So the other thing I would also express, and I know I've told Commissioner Dozier this in the past, is that those that graduate this program, I think we should push to other high-demand career fields as those opportunities warrant themselves. So if somebody wants to be a truck driver, which I'm very passionate about, and there's a pathway to directly move them out of this program into that high-demand field at, whatever the technical colleges we want to name, I think those linkages could be formally created and those partnerships be had. So I think everybody's looking to do this in a collaborative effort and not this become another siloed kind of educational program where, you as a business owner don't have access, but how do you work all these pieces together, and including also the K-12 element too as necessary in some of these communities, which I've not heard any opposition from local superintendents in any of these counties or cities about this. I've only heard positive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Jones.
Senator Watson, you have a question?
Just at the proper moment.
Okay, real quick before we do that, no sign up, nobody signed up. Does anybody in the audience wish to speak in favor or against this bill? Okay, we're working off of, it's Senate Bill 112, LC 491240. Senator Watson?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the interest of, not in the interest of time, but we've heard this bill last year, and this bill is pretty straightforward. It's passed the Senate overwhelmingly. I'm not sure there's anybody who voted against it. We've made minor changes, which should appease the House from a TCSG standpoint, and doing it as a pilot project. So it's been scaled down. But the track record that is throughout other states that have done this is fabulous. It's a GED plus wraparound services. That's a long way of saying I move to do pass.
Okay, do I have a second? We got a second from Senator Mallow. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nay. Okay, it passed unanimously. Thank you.
We're hearing from the
Okay.
heavens.
All right, now we've got Senate Bill 55 from Senator Parent. Senator Parent, we've got Senate Bill 55. Before you start, I do need to thank Paige McKenna and Anna O'Connor for getting this meeting set up. They did a great job on our first meeting, but this one, we weren't sure we were going to have it because we weren't sure if we were going to go till 4 or 5 o'clock and get pushed back 2 hours. And but since we were able to get 3:30, we decided to have it, and they rushed and put it together. And I just want to thank them for all their hard work. Thank y'all. Okay, Senator Parent.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have a excellent feel-good bill to present to you today. This is the lemonade stand bill. Many of you may not have realized, and I didn't until last summer, that, actually it was last spring, that lemonade stands have actually been illegal businesses that kids engage in across most of the country. That is slowly getting remedied. Now 15 states have actually, and it may be more, as of the last reading I did, 15 states have moved to legalize the lemonade type, stand type business out of children. I have this wonderful family behind me, Mr. Rami Ganauer, did I say it right at all? His wife Rebecca, and their 2 children, here she is over here, and their 2 children, Tamima and Jack, who I think we'll get to hear from very, briefly. But when Mr. Ganauer brought it to me, I had no idea that a child's lemonade stand was illegal, so I've been having my own children participate in illegal activities on my front lawn. And I thought it was kind of silly that they were illegal. This gentleman that you'll get to hear from, Mr. Ganauer, had actually done a lot of research by the time he brought the situation that had arisen with his children's lemonade stand in DeKalb County in my district to my attention. I think we can all agree that lemonade stands should not be illegal. They teach kids entrepreneurial skills, earning a little bit of money to do, to have for spending money is a good skill set for children to build. Kids utilize lemonade stands for all kinds of other reasons as well. We have a story in the paper out of, let's see, actually I don't see where this is out of, but it's here in Georgia. This 11-year-old selling lemonade to pay for his own medical bills after suffering severe injuries when he was hit by a car while cycling, to raise funds to help kids in Ukraine. And of course, I could go on and on. You may be thinking, do any of these get shut down? Well, the answer is yes. We've got a number of examples right here in Georgia where local officials have shut down children's lemonade stands, including in Midway, Georgia. Midway police shut down a lemonade stand run by 3 girls trying to save up for a trip to a water park, saying they didn't have a business license or the required permits. Also, a 4th of July lemonade stand in Helen, Georgia, was shut down in 2015. So it can and does happen, and I would like to see Georgia join the other states that have seen the wisdom in this entrepreneurial spirit brought by children in legalizing these child-run entrepreneurships on private property that would be for persons under the age of 18 and would have revenue of less than $3,000 or less per year. This particular bill that I have presented you with is actually pulled directly from what the state of Tennessee passed in 2019. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and I know we want to hear from our family.
I want to hear from the family.
Of course.
If y'all would
You
come
guys
on up.
Come on up. What, do you want them to use number 1?
I
And
got
can
number 1 on
slide.
for you.
Here, you can sit in this chair, Jack.
Jack, you were more shy a little while ago when I talked to you.
All right. If you would, tell us your name, if you could.
My name is Rami Ganauer.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for
so
being
much.
here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You guys want to introduce yourselves? What's your name?
I'm Tamima. I'm Jack.
Do we want to play the video?
Yes, and so, The kids developed a Shark Tank video for their grandparents, which is what this is. It actually is very impressive and goes on for probably 5-6 minutes, so we're just going to play the first minute or so in the interest of time, but so you can see all the
Okay.
good work that these children did.
Okay.
In April, we asked our dad if we could run a lemonade stand this summer, but COVID makes everything complicated. We didn't know if people would want to drink cups of lemonade sold by kids. Ew! See? So we decided that instead of throwing cups of lemonade, we would sell our own lemonade mix that people could make at home. We could even sell some online and send lemonade in the mail. The first step was to do some market research. We created a survey asking for people's opinions about lemonade. We went out and asked a bunch of people to fill out the survey. They were happy to answer because we're so cute. We also had an online version of the survey. Between the two versions, our survey had an N of 146. The N is short for numbers of answers, which means that 146 people filled out the survey. There are some things that we learned from the survey. Number one, lots of people like lemonade. Only 9 people said 1 or 2. Number 2, almost everybody likes strawberry lemonade. Number 3, we can't charge too much but not too little, at least $1. Next, we have to check our competition. Boo! We looked at lemonades for sale at the supermarket and bought some to try. That brings us to Test Kitchen! Yay!
Well done.
I should have also mentioned that it helps with intro to statistics and math to run a lemonade stand.
Yeah, I think it's clear that we took this maybe a little bit too seriously. But when the kids came to me and said that they wanted to run a business, like many of you in the committee, I'm an entrepreneur and a small business owner. I said, yes, you can do it, but only if we do it for real. And we're going to learn everything that it takes to run a business like a real endeavor. And I went through, as you can see, market research, data analysis, test kitchen, marketing, finance, customer support, everything that you can imagine except for one lesson. That one lesson was licensing and regulation. Because as I learned throughout the process, Georgia does not have a common sense safe harbor for children's businesses. And for them to have run this thing legally, they would have had to spend over $300 in permits. They would have had to go through a safe food handling course and have a county health inspector come and inspect our kitchen just to be able to sell lemonade powder on our front lawn on private property. And they would have had to navigate the bureaucracy that even adults have a difficult time getting through to be able to figure out which permits they need to file for them. And so we've put in front of our children an impossible choice. They can either become entrepreneurs and they can learn the lessons of self-reliance and the importance of an honest day's work, or they can obey the law. But it's only one of the two, and it can't be both. And so that's why we're here today on behalf of both of the kids, to be able to talk to you and hope that we can get your support for Senate Bill 55, to hopefully we can pass this like the other states that Senator Parent mentioned, and to bring our kids into compliance, because the one thing that we can't teach them is that there's good money to be made in breaking the law. If it's okay with you, my son Jack has something that he wrote that he'd like to read. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
My name is Jack Mauer, and I am one of the co-founders of Lemonade in the Shade. I started a lemonade business because I wanted to make some money and enjoy having friends over to drink lemonade. My favorite parts of running the business were doing taste testing and making the packets of lemonade to sell. I was very proud of our business. It was fun, and the lemonade tasted really good. I was sad that I found that I couldn't do anymore. That's why I think it's important for people to follow the law. That's why I hope you will change the law so that kids like me can run a business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great job. Any questions from, are y'all done?
Happy to take
Let me say this. I got one negative call on this today, actually, about, not so much about the lemonade stand. This is common sense easy. But under 18, if someone wanted to, an artist, a young kid was a 16-year-old artist and wanted to start doing tattoo out of his home, tattoos, without any kind of training or licensing, they thought that would be a problem. Now, that's this call I got today. So I'm just telling you that. I want to tighten it up to where I want to pass this. And I also don't think $3,000 should even be in there. If you can sell $5,000 worth of lemonade, God bless you. You ought to be able to do it. You ought to make money. I don't think we should put any limits on how much money you can make if you can sell lemonade as much as you want. But I do want to think about making sure we tighten it up to where it is for cookies or lemonade or something to that effect. You follow me? I do worry about the call I got today because I'd never thought of that. I wouldn't think somebody would do tattoos without some kind of license or training, but it could happen. So I bring that up to see if we could tighten something up to where it's just for, I don't want to say lemonade, but for lemonade, cookies, stuff like that. Senator, what are your thoughts on that? I see you shaking your head and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just want to make sure we address the call I got today, because
Yeah,
and you're in a,
I spoke to the same folks you did.
okay,
And there are different ways that the issue can be handled. I mean, so without getting into, can you draw tattoos on someone without other kinds of licenses? I think that the answer to that is no, but I did, talk about this particular issue with Legislative Council and with my staff. So there are several ways the committee could go. You could just exempt the need for occupation tax certificates and Board of Health certificates, which would deal more within the food establishment space, which of course would be a very reasonable way to go and would solve the problem that the Gnauer family brought to our attention. There are other child-run businesses that I think we could all agree we would want to be legal, like maybe dog walking or, leaf raking or things like that. So the car washing, right. So the challenge is in sort of finding that line between making sure you're not allowing any and all activities or making it either the definition or the limitations tight enough to accomplish that, but not sort of then still maybe making things like car washing illegal. And I don't know if Legislative Council had any
is Legislative Council here?
further thoughts. Oh, there she is. Yes.
Yeah, if you could, come on up here and answer that question, because I really like this bill, and I like what you're trying to do as a family, and I like what you're trying to do, Senator, but I want to make sure we're not so broad that we, have unintended consequences. And then I'll let her speak, and then I'm going to go to you, Senator. What are you, number 2?
Billy.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay.
You have my support.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Senator Summers.
If you would,
That's number 3.
please. Number 3, you're on.
Yeah. I'm Christy Farhudi with Legislative Council. I did not draft this bill, and so I was not privy to the conversations that you may have had with someone in my office. There are certainly some changes that could be made, as you mentioned, and that's something that, off the top of my head, I don't know a simple solution that we could offer here in committee today, but we could certainly work on language.
Okay. Senator?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So my first thought would be something that exempts all regulations related to public health and safety, but then a nested exemption just for food service within that would be the goal, right? So the construction would be something like, or other form of regulation, except for public safety and health regulations, not including regulation of food service. Now, that's a little bit wacky, but the intention would be to sort of exempt public health or safety broadly, and then within that, a sub-exemption just for food service. So the net effect would be that every business would be allowed, plus food service, except for the ones like tattoo artistry, public health, safety related that don't have to do with food service. That's a little convoluted, but you see what I'm trying to get at.
Okay. I appreciate those comments. Yes, Senator James. What number are you?
Number 11.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does that include piercings? because I know that there are people who say they're teenagers and they pierce everybody's ears or now every other part. So, you know, when they're doing it, and I know they don't have a license, and I know they didn't go and get any special training, so I wouldn't want to give them permission to do that because it could infect someone.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. Here's our posture. We're gonna do everything we can to get you to be able to sell lemonade in a
Yes.
legal way, okay? If I could, you got a question first?
I do.
Okay, all right.
Why can't they sell stickers and give out lemonade?
People want it right there.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Like in DC for other products, I cannot buy the product in DC. I can buy a sticker, and because I bought the sticker, I will give you a free glass of lemonade. The sticker's gonna cost you $1. You understand what I'm saying? So you're not selling a food product then, you're selling a sticker, which there is no prohibition against.
But then the lemonade is free.
Free.
So,
You're not selling it. You're giving it away.
I got you.
I mean, my only comment would be it seems convoluted, and I'd rather have it just be straight,
Yeah.
that they could sell the lemonade, but certainly a
right.
smart workaround
We're
from
gonna take
whoever
one
did
more
that.
question, then I'm gonna tell you what we're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
do.
sure.
Senator
No,
Hickman.
sir, my one question, I just completely agree with you on the entrepreneurial sense of these kids, and $3,000, if it's 30,000, 300,000, I agree with it. I just applaud y'all for what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to follow up on that. Thank you for bringing this. We're going to get this done because we want you to sell lemonade in a legal way, and I hope you can make a lot of money and continue to do so as you grow up. Senator Parent, if you would, I'm going to ask you to get with legal counsel, button that up just a little bit.
Yep.
And we're going to get to the intent you want. And I will tell you, we will give you a vote at our next meeting. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow's dedicated towards one issue, but we will probably have another meeting on Thursday. We're trying to get with the Secretary of Senate's office to make sure we can get a date Thursday. You won't really even have to come, just kind of come and make sure that, let us know it's been tightened up, and we'll take a vote then. Is that fair?
That's fair, and we'll
Okay.
meet with you, Mr. Chairman.
And I hope you
other members
understand,
of the committee.
that's we just want to make sure it's right and it's good for you, okay? All right, with that, we'll work, you work with a committee sub, and as soon as you get it to me, we'll go forward. Tomorrow morning, committee, we have a meeting at 8 a.m. right here in Capitol 450, and we're going to be talking about SB 57, sports betting. So the room should be packed. Be ready to go. I need you here. And we will send out another email to the committee. But with that, is there any other questions, discussion? We are adjourned. Thank you all for your
Thank
time.
you.